Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the STARS tutorial on EU funding for the rail sector. My name is Lutz Hübner, and I'm from Berlin Partner for Business and Technology, one of the partners of the STARS project. May I have a short introduction to the STARS project and to the European Week of Advanced Technologies for Railway Applications. This tutorial is part of this week. And this week contains several events beside tutorials. It was last week, 2 days, the Hack and Match event number 5 with 12 challenges to be solved. And there is also the opportunity for virtual business meetings on our STARS Hack and Match events meeting platform. This is the platform, and you have the chance when you have registered there with a short profile to ask the other participants which might be of interest to you for virtual meetings. We have designed there some dedicated time slots within this week, but in general, it is possible that you can meet with other participants anytime. The platform is available for the moment until the end of the project. The STARS project will end on 30th of September in 2023. For the moment, it has been discussed or is under discussion to prolong this platform for a while, but it has not been finally decided. So what about the STARS project? It is to support the European small, medium-sized enterprises, mainly of the rail supply industry, but also in the mobility industry, in successfully adopting advanced technologies to boost their products, services, manufacturing processes, and organization. And therefore, a 2-year project has been launched by the European Commission, where 10 cluster organizations, 5 technology centers, 1 digital innovation hub, 1 blockchain provider from 9 countries are direct partners, and we have in total over 30 supporting organizations from in total 40 European countries. Yeah, the website is starseurope.eu, very simple to find and very easy to find. And we are in the last 2.5 weeks of this project. The project will end on the 30th of September, but the topic of the project for sure will remain for the next few years. And therefore, one block or one element, supporting element of this project would be to inform on suitable funding opportunities on regional, national, and on EU level. And for today, it is on the EU level. And therefore, we have our first presenter is Dr. Marina Martinez. She is a program officer at the SOSTCDTI office, and she is also part of the national contact point and the program committee member of Cluster 3 in Pillar 2 of Horizon Europe. And Marina, it's now your turn to introduce to us some interesting aspect of the Horizon Europe Working Program 2023 and and especially 2024. It's your floor, Marina.
Okay, so thank you so much for the invitation. Indeed, the SOST office is the Spanish Office for Science and Technology, is the innovation agency of Spain. We are in charge of Horizon Europe, among other European programs at the international level. At national level, we are the funding agency of innovation for the Spanish stakeholders, and also for we are the Spanish side of several bilateral collaboration programs, like, for instance, Eurostars, that some of you maybe can be sound about. My presentation before that I'm going to give is about several opportunities that you can find in the coming weeks and months if you are working in the rail sector in the different clusters of Horizon Europe. First of all, I would like really to thanks to the project the opportunity to explain a little bit what is coming, and also to the organizers and the coordinator for trusting me in guiding you during this let's say 30 minutes approximately. For anything that you need, my contact details are just in the first slide of this presentation. In any case, I always like to start with an introduction on what is about at European level. So we are, as you know, in the period 21-27 of the European Union. Every 7 years, the Commission states a budget for the actions that are going to take place during these 7 years. The budget that we are right now and the program that we are right now was envisioned and elaborated at the beginning along 2020, 18, 19, and 20 by the former Commission, the Commissioner, the President Juncker. And of course, there were a number of, let's say, strategies and priorities, but also a budget aligned with these priorities. The idea with the breakdown of this budget was to modernize the European Union and also to empower the citizens and making aware that the geopolitical situation was changing and security and maybe defense was going to be an important aspect to take into account in the coming years. So with that, we had a European Union budget that was elaborated in 8 chapters. The most important for us for research and innovation is the first one, the single market, innovation and digital. Is not the biggest part of the budget of the European Union. The biggest part are the one on cohesion and values, where you have the biggest stack of the structural funds, and the other chapter on natural resources and environment, when you have the agricultural policy of the European Union, the CIP, which is very important also for Europe as well. So the part of single market, innovation and digital is the third amount inside the budget of the European Union, and inside you have all regarding research and innovation, especially Horizon Europe, but you have also other programs that are going to be explained a little bit of opportunities, which is, for instance, the Digital Europe program, but also all the combination and partnerships between private and public sector for specific objectives regarding innovation, but also arriving to the market. This is the budget that was approved by the end of December 2020, but of course the situation at economical and geopolitical level since that moment has changed. So by the last part of 2021, after and during the last part of the COVID, Commissions asked to the countries to make a readjustment of the budget of the European Union. And this was approved onwards the calls 2024. So this has been applied since the calls 2024 and onwards. So this budget is a little bit modified nowadays. For the part of Horizon Europe, which is the part 1 of the innovation and research, so we see that the most important part of this chapter of research and innovation is led by Horizon Europe, but also observe that the most increase in the budget has been done by the Digital Europe program and the Europe Connected facility. Talking about Horizon Europe, what I'm going to present are some opportunities in the next weeks and months on the clusters. Basically, we will start with the cluster which is natural for the rail sector, which is the one including climate, energy, and mobility, which is cluster 5. Afterwards, I will make an insight on cluster 5. I will make an insight on cluster 4, especially in the part of industry and some small part of space that I think that can be interested for all the people developing downstream services based on Galileo and GNSS. and Copernicus, and also at the end, just in case, for all the part, cluster 3 for the part of security of the infrastructures regarding rail sector. As you see, the most important Horizon Europe is under the same, let's say, legislative framework than the program on European on defense, especially on the research window. But they are Horizon Europe and the European Defense Fund are completely parallel programs, let's say. In fact, all the programs of the European Union has to follow the priorities set by the President Ursula von der Leyen for 2021-2024. Among those ones, the ones that are related with us, with research and innovation, are, of course, to support all the technologies developments that are in the direction of the green transition. So this means energy efficiency, for instance, circular economy, raw materials, etc. Also, all the things related with the digital transition, so not only cybersecurity, digitalization, skills, etc. Then we have also that the programs, the European programs, has to support all the things that are centered in the people services for people services, in this case for the passengers, etc. And we have to do not forget that all these developments has to be developed in a security environment, not only cyber security but also physically security environment. There are other aspects that has been developed later on as the international cooperation and other aspects that are not specifically related with development and technology in the rail sector, but more focused, let's say, in the affordability of the services provided by the rail sector to all the individuals in the society. This week, in fact, on Wednesday, there will be the State of the Union. The State of the Union will be focused on what and explain what is going on with these priorities. And one of the main focus is what is about all of this green and digital transition, what has been done until the moment. And if you want, I have put also this link in order that if you want to comment. So regarding everything that is boosting their repower and the energy efficiency, and so you can see it in the EU energy platform that suggests, for instance, major joint purchases of gas and liquid LNG also in international markets, not only the member states, but in a group of Georgia, Moldova, Ukraine, and the Western Balkans. Also, following with the efficient energy to boost everything that is on photovoltaic, hydrogen, and gas decarbonization package. Regarding to the green transition, we have the Green Deal Industrial Plan, which has a special item on the raw materials, also the circularity in the industry, and the reform of the electricity market design. On the digital transition, we have things that will affect, of course, the rail sector. The chips is one of them, but also the data and the digital services that the rail sector can be client, but also a provider. And in the social action, there is one thing that is very important, which is the Pact for Skills, because we have to have people prepare for entering in the labor market or to update their skill in the labor market according with the new technologies and new jobs, not only in for the future, but right now that are needed by the companies. In addition of the 6 priorities that will be, let's say, overview this Wednesday by President von der Leyen, we have seen that by by November this year in the Spanish presidency, there will be a communication on strategic autonomy in line with boosting what is the industrial strategy for Europe. And also, since as I have seen since 2021, there has been a rearrangement of the multi-annual financial framework. One word on the industrial strategy for Europe. It was state also the support to the SMEs and the providers of the big operators of the big, in this case, rail constructors, and special support to the solvency and also to combating the late payments on the SMEs, which are providing of these big companies in the case of the rail sector or any other sector. And in Horizon Europe, what we have. So, of course, for the initial planning on 2023-2024, we have suffered some cuts. Maybe you will not see it in the number of topics, but yes, in the amount of money devoted to the topics. Okay, and the projects you will see that are maybe smaller than the ones thinking in the beginning of Horizon Europe. This adjustment of the budget is because there are other initiatives as the Space Act, the Chips Act, the Raw Materials Act that have been approved, and they have to also to be fit with part of the money of Horizon Europe. On the other hand, by the end of this year, beginning of 2024, we will have several things. First is the preparation, the publication of the strategic programming 2025-2027 of Horizon Europe, which is something that is being cooked, let's say, along this year. And also in 2025, what we'll have is a new president of commission by the end of the year. We will hope so. And also new parliament. The elections are fixed at the beginning of the month of June. So what we have right now is the strategic planning. We have several versions. Right now, we are in the middle of the second draft of this version, and this document is important because it's stating what will be the priorities for research for the second part of Horizon Europe. And also, it is putting what will be the priorities and the guidelines for the next framework program onwards 2028. And towards the objectives of the Europe 2030. So it's important that you keep an eye on that because you will have ideas on what is going to come in the coming years. Going to Horizon Europe and to the pillars, we have that you have to participate in collaborative projects, so in a consortium. These are the normal intensities of funding. Research and innovation actions are 100%, are lower TRLs, and innovation action, higher TRLs, close to the market. Everything is 100% funding, except the companies that are funded the 70% because they are close to the market. The novelty here is that since last week, we have the news that UK will be part again of the Horizon Europe partners. So up to the moment, up to the 1st of January, UK partners continue as associate partners if they are in a consortium, but onwards next year, they will become a normal partner in a project, and it will be like a member state partner, okay? If you want more details, you can see here. The documents that calls that I'm going to pick up are coming from the work programs. The work programs, they all have this structure, an introduction, and then the chapters are called destinations. And in each destination, you have the topics of the call 2023-2024. All the information can be found in the participant portal, the funding and tenders opportunity, where you have information not only on Horizon Europe, but on digital Europe calls, connecting facility, Europe connecting facility calls. And if you want to go quicker, so you have here the link for accessing directly to the work programs and to the annexes of the work programs where you can have information on the evaluation process. Let's go to the topics in the cluster 5, which is the cluster on energy, environment, and mobility or transport. Here for 2024, in 2023 there were more opportunities, but for 2024 for rail sector, basically we have to go to destination 6. Destination 6 is the one on safety, transport, and smart mobility for passengers and goods. You have the info day in 1 month time in October, but unfortunately is online. Destination 6 is the first day at 10 in the morning, 10:15 in the morning. What we can find here, we can find two topics which are quite interesting, and they are focused on the freight, basically, and in the logistics. The first one is a combination of freight and logistics in infrastructure. So to try to make it as smooth as possible and let's say seamless as possible for both the passengers and the let's say the freight. It is expected that we will have for the two projects approved 100% funding in TRL 5. So you can make some part of live demonstration, but also simulations are accepted. One of the important things is that you can that you can make a test on rural environments, but also urban environments, so we can explain and see what are potential solution of this multimodal, let's say, network and connections. Here, international cooperation is encouraged, so you can introduce international partners. For the other topic, which is related also to logistics and infrastructure, here it is important that in each topic, it is expected to approve 3 topics. And what you have to arrive up to demonstration in the real environment, so is TRL 7. Each project has to have at least 3 pilot demonstrations. One could be, for instance, on rail sector, because it is specifically stated at level of the topic. So there is a clear opportunity here. For cluster 4, we have to go to the part of industry and space, which is destination 1, which is the part of sustainable industry manufacture. And the last part, which is other actions, are some specific parts from Spain, from space. The info day is 11 October. Unfortunately, of course, is online only. There is no possibility of physical exchange, but also we have the first day is destination 1, and the second day is the part related with space or space application. In destination 1, we have one topic which is very interesting, which is the research on new steel production for high-speed trains to ensure the high quality and also exceptional mechanical properties. Is quite research, because you see that you are starting in TRL 4 and you arrive until TRL 5 and 6. You can test, for instance, something like a stress test and so in a real or simulated environment, but it's not mandatory. They are going to, they are 100% funded actions, and they are going to approve a lot of action on the order of 5 or 6 projects in order to check these, let's say, these possibilities of new steels, new materials for high speed. And in the part of space, we have 2 topics. One of them is on the RTMs, so the use of the satellite navigation for rail safety critical applications is combination of Copernicus and GNSS, and the TRL is very high, so you have to make demonstration here. That's the reason, because it's little money. They are innovation actions, and you have to demonstrate on real time and in real scenarios. Okay, it is expected that there will be minimum one project per transport mode, one for rail, one for waterborne, one for road, etc. Minimum, but can be two or three depending on the per transport mode, depending on the offer that the consortiums prepare. And here we have the other topic, which is much more oriented to entrepreneurs, micro SMEs and SMEs, because it's really a small budget. It's 100% funded, is less than 1 million per project. So they are really small consortia. International cooperation is one of the issues that is very important, and there are specific countries that can receive money from South America, Australia, United States, African Union, etc. Is medium tier L 3 or 4, so you can make simulations, or if you want a quite simple real world demonstration. Okay, in a different transport mode or in innovative downstream services that will use satellite navigation and Copernicus for instance, for passengers or for travelers. And just in case, I would like to explain the two possibilities that we have in cluster 3. My cluster is rail sector as an infrastructure, basically. We are open, and the deadline is by the end of November. We had already our info day by the end of June, and in the info day you have information on potential people that is looking for operators or people from the rail sector. In October we have our big event, which is the security research event by the end of October, and at the beginning of October we have the community of users, which is a place of networking. All our info days has been always presential, and also the brokerage event. So this brokerage event of the security community at the beginning of October is very useful for consortium building, as well the security research conference. In May, we have also an info day, an informal brokerage event, presential as well. And you can look the elevator pitches because people is looking for operators or people from the rail sector. What are the projects in infrastructure? Protection of infrastructure, cyber and physical protection of infrastructure, in this case of the rail sector, and you have to make a demonstration. And also in the disaster resilience and management, how you are going to handle a situation when there will be a digital and electricity breakdown. So how the connection with the transport, not only with the metro or the train, but also with the trams, for instance, in cities or in a populated area. Okay, and then you need transport operators or people which is dealing with management of traffic in the rail sector or in the metro sector. After this presentation, you will have some presentation on the joint undertaking on rail. The joint undertaking on rail is the main part where you can develop things related with the rail sector, but also the topic that I have explained on materials began to the partnership on clean steel, low carbon steel making. So you see that there are two other opportunities that where you when you can participate. And in any case, the other example of budget that you have is a digital program which belongs to the single market. But all the examples of funding that we have going to see today are belonging to the first chapter of the European Union. And with that, I will hand over to my next colleague that is going to explain you the opportunities. Well, if you have any other question, I will be very glad to answer and to give some idea on what are the opportunities, what is going on, etc. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marina, for this huge and information. It was, I counted, it was 62 slides, and you did it in 25 minutes. A big compliment. As you can see, there are huge information. Any questions? I will give you some time to think about. We have already prepared some questions, and you see it on the screen, and I will not read it again because
Okay.
anyone can see it and you can directly answer.
Okay. So in the meanwhile, if somebody wants to raise the hand or whatever, I can ask the question. I understand that the main problem of Horizon Europe, like most of the problem of the European Union, is that you have to go with a consortia. When you are a usual suspect working in projects and so maybe to join a consortia is not difficult because it's people that you know or whatever. But when you are a newcomer or you are a quite research organization and so can be difficult to find who is preparing a proposal and so it's good it is true that the commission is making all in general is holding all the info days online, and this is fine because everybody can connect, but for the newcomers or sometimes for consortia building is hard difficult because you need this interaction or you need the possibility of giving your card or whatever. One of my suggestions is that, of course, you make always profit of these tools like the B2 Match or like the tool that the project start is providing to you, because it's a way of visualize your capabilities or your interest. Do not put a general description of your company there. Try also to be as specific as possible, explaining what is the topic that you are interested in, what is the possibility of service or technology or research that you can give. Okay, because this is the important thing, that when somebody is looking for a partner, is much easier to that they find you. This presentation, of course, I think that the Lutz will be available for all of you, and the topics the links are active, so feel free to use them and to contact me if I can help with pleasure. If not, I will redirect to the colleague that can help you. The other thing is that okay. Uh, in most of the topics that you have seen, there is topics with medium and high TRL. The highest TRL, the coordinator, is important. That should be somebody from industry or some operator from the rail sector. But do not forget the importance of the RTOs and the research organizations in your consortia, because they are bringing sometimes this vision on the next year or the coming the next coming technologies. And so you have seen also in all the topics that there is not only technology, but when you are dealing with, for instance, freight, not only goods, but also passengers and new services and new applications, you have to take into account other factors which are not only technology, and is the third bullet point. So it's good that you include specialists, for instance, from consumers, economists as well, and from the sociology, in order to understand what are the trends of the society, what are the trends of mobility, not only at the citizen level, but also maybe the implications on gender, etc. So it is important that you take into account that a project is not only technological development, but many things more. And some of the topics also are encouraging or has a plus of having SMEs, technology SMEs. Okay, and just I would like it to end this part of potential questions that you may have, is to use the influence and the support of the coordinator of the projects, because I have understood, Lutz, that you are part of the international clusters association, and this can be extremely helpful when you are looking for international cooperation. you have seen that almost all the topics are stating that international cooperation is welcome, specifically in the rail sector. So it's good that you make profit of this facility that the STAR project is giving to you. So that will be all the comments that I have think. Do you receive the recording in minimum? Okay. Serhat says that we are working in a simulation development to reduce the power consumption and optimization operation. Could you suggest a collaboration to us to work on if it is, yeah, the first thing that I will do in your case is with these topics that I have shown you. First, is good to attend to the info days to check and to put your profile in the V2 match. Also, when you put your profile, you have possibility also to see the profile of other people, and do not hesitate to contact them. Also, there are some events from the technological platforms that I think, and from the GTI, that I think that are very useful to attend. Even that if the topic is from Horizon Europe, I think that is very useful to attend to the events or to try to get in contact with the people which are participating in the events of the, for instance, UNIFE, the International Association on Railway, the people from the GTI, because the usual suspects that will present something will be also in these other forums. So this could be my answer to Serhat.
Yeah. Marina, thank you very much. As you mentioned, the international cluster collaboration is in exactly the European Railway Clusters Initiative, ERCI, which are 16 innovation-driven clusters from all over Europe, which are collaborating with each other. We have also a cluster from the United Kingdom, two from the United Kingdom, two from Turkey, one from Serbia, but covering the West Balkany states. Maybe you can say some words on the participation opportunities for Turkish and for West Balkan countries.
In principle, as you have seen, for instance, for the space topics, they say that in that topic, especially all these countries, they are welcome, and they will receive money as they will be member states. For the other topics that I have explained, for all the other topics that I have explained, cluster 4, cluster 5, and also security, the rules of Horizon Europe, the normal rules of Horizon Europe applied. So if you are an associate country in principle and you have signed the agreement with Horizon Europe, like is the case of Turkey, for instance, so you can participate as usual, as any other call, whatever, no problem for that. For UK, as the 1st of January the idea is that you have to put them as associate partners. But if your call, as this was understood, if your call is closing after the 1st January 2024, in principle, they can be considered like a member state. But this is something that I know that my guy from the legal and financial issues, they are, because this is very recent from last week, they are trying to take the details, and so there is a coordinators day in a proposal writing day from Commission in October. I can imagine that they are going to tackle this point. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in to know how is the rate, how they can participate, so go to this to this webinar. I can pass you the link as well, Lutz, for the audience. And just in the security, only to take into account that everybody can participate. The only thing is that if you want to be coordinator, you have to make sure that your country have an agreement of exchange classified information with the European Union. There is a list on that. Also, if you are interested, you can have. At the moment, UK, they have already this agreement, so they can participate and be coordinators. Okay.
All right. So Are there any other questions? There is one question in the chat, which
From
plots
Peter.
here
Yeah.
from Peter, yeah.
We are contracted by the infrastructure owner, Trafficwerk, Verket Innovation Procurement. The aim is to instrument and train in traffic with our sensor systems, all in order to achieve the continuous European synergies are right from Peking. Could you suggest any collaboration to us for working on? Of course, pre-commercial procurement is a bit different, you know, because our innovation procurement is a bit different, but it should be parallel to Horizon Europe, because in principle, the idea of Commission was that when some technology is quite mature, or when there is real interest from an end user, that could be an operator on a technology deployment, and so the European Union can take some money for this innovation procurement, especially for the public users or for the public, let's say, entities to buy this technology or to procure this technology or make a joint, let's say, purchase of this technology. Usually, these sort of topics, they are suggested at level of program committee. So maybe if there is nothing in this call, it's possible that it may put in contact with your representative at the program committee of your NCP could happen, because all the clusters, they have a small money for public procurement. Another thing is that if you are doing public procurement for this institution, and so you can use, for instance, you can use it as a base for making research, for enlarging your research via an Horizon Europe project. Could be that, for instance, you provide the service to this operator, and so, but you realize that there is possibility of improving this service that you are providing of this technology, but the operator cannot do it through the procurement. So maybe this could be embedded inside a project of Horizon Europe if there is a topic that could allow this. The only thing is that you have to, let's say, not demonstrate, but let's say to be very accountable that you are not doing a double accountability. So the things that you are doing in the procurement are the procurement, and the things that you are doing at level of Horizon Europe is research, can be related to the procurement, or you can use as a base things that you have done at level of the procurement. But the project of Horizon Europe is research, is for going forward or for amplifying or developing more one part that you have already tested in the procurement, for instance.
So, thank you very much. I'm sure there will be some more questions, and maybe we have time also after all the presentations to answer these questions. But in any case, the contact data are available or will be available, and you will have at any time the possibility to raise your questions. Coming to the next presenter, and Marina already mentioned it. It is a specialist from the Europe's Rail Joint Undertaking. Good morning, Sebastian. You are a senior program manager at the EU Rail Joint Undertaking, and you are also responsible to one of the flagship projects. Maybe you could describe it a bit, and you will take the opportunity, the very first opportunity I learned, to tell us something about the planned publication of the second call for proposals on exploratory research. Sebastian, it's your turn.
Thank you very much, Lutz, for this introduction and to give us the opportunity to present today. Indeed, as you mentioned, this is the first time that we are, unless I'm wrong, that we are somehow presenting in details what would be the content of our call 2023. So thank you for this opportunity. To complete a little bit indeed the introduction, so I'm working indeed in Europe's Rail now for 5 years, and I'm in charge of the cluster assets management and also the exploratory research topic. So consequently, I'm following two flagship projects, the flagship project 3 on assets management, so really future and intelligent assets management, but also on the sustainability and green rolling stock that is developed in the FP4. Okay. Before starting, maybe I would like to provide a small and very quick introduction about UOPS-RAIL. So thank you, Marina, to explain a little bit where the joint undertaking is fitting into the overall commission organization. So basically, and to rephrase it, we are a private public partnership. So this PPP, the first P, the public, is represented by the European Commission with two parent DG, so DG Move and DG LTD. The second P, this is the private sector or members that are somehow representing very well the railway sector, the European railway sector. So we have infrastructure manager such as Traffic Verket, ProRail, RFI, etc. Railway undertaker, SNCF, DB, and some other industry partners. The biggest one of the European sector, like Siemens, CAF, Alstom, and so on. But we have also SMEs and research institutes that are also part of the organization. It's important to mention, we talk about members, but obviously the initiative is not restricted to all members. It's open to everyone. I'll explain a bit more in details afterwards in how it works in terms of call participation. Okay. The third P, this is the partnership, and this may be the most important P, because indeed this joint undertaking is really a win-win environment, both for the public sectors. We have a tool to ensure the implementation of our policy, for example, the Green Deal, etc., but also a win-win for our members and any partners participating to this initiative, because first there is an incentive in terms of funds, but also in terms of platform, in terms of collaboration. So we are really mitigating the risk of having solutions that are developed within the UOPS-RAIL initiative that will not reach the market, because from the very beginning and the early phase of development, so the very low rail, we have already participating to the research by the future customer, rolling stock manufacturer, IMs, RUs, etc. So really, it's a hand-to-hand work to ensure that the market will take over a solution. In terms of vision and mission, you might be aware that UOPS-RAIL, basically, this is the program that is under the Horizon Europe research program. However, we are somehow bringing over the results of Shift to Rail. So basically, Shift to Rail, it was under the H2020 program. EU Rail, this is the new initiative, but it's somehow the same vision. So the vision is the following, as you can read here. So basically, and we try to emphasize this point in UOPS-RAIL to have the system approach, because it's extremely important to have a system approach. And I will explain how we have been integrating this concept in the new organization and to deliver really a high capacity, so increase the capacity of the rail, taking into account flexibility, multimodal approach, and to reach a more sustainable railway transport, more sustainable transport in general, obviously, and a reliable, I would say, network. So we have currently to work to eliminate these barriers to guarantee the interoperability of our solution, and both for the advantages of the European citizens as passengers, but also as cargo. Okay. And the tool for that, this is research and innovation into the railway domain. So the structure of UOPS-RAIL is the following, and for the one that were very familiar to Shift to Rail, they will see that we go beyond the usual and the initial innovation pillar, where we were basically conducting mainly research innovation. I don't say in a silo mode because it's a bit restricted, but maybe with less system approach. So we didn't have really the tool to ensure the system approach, and this is what is coming with the implementation of this system pillar. So the European Commission have put 50 million euros on the table in order to ensure it's a homogeneous approach, it's consistent approach between all the solutions that are developed, so both to cover operational concept, also the future functional system architecture. And obviously, this is not for the baseline, but it's really to maintain and to ensure that all the developments that are coming now, but also in the future, will be fully integrable into this framework. And so that we have really solution that will be developed into the innovation pillar that will fit in this overall ecosystem. The innovation pillar have been mainly focusing, and you will see also this is somehow reflecting in the call that we are proposing this year, into digitalization, automation, and sustainability. So we have been splitting the master plan into destination, okay, that itself are implemented within flagship project, and that somehow covering 5 pillars. So one regarding the European rail traffic and mobility management, a second one on digitalization and automation of the train operation. The third one I initially presented because it is my cluster on sustainable and digital assets. Then one on the digitalization of the rail freight, and finally, indeed, one topic that is more dedicated on the services in low density areas. So to cover this scope of work that is quite wide, we have different instruments. So indeed, we have the flagship project. So that's somehow the biggest project we are conducted. They have been started in for most of them in December 2022. But there will be also other, I would say, initiative and project that will complete this flagship project. So they will be linked somehow with this flagship project that are more exploratory research and fundamental research innovation. And finally, the last area that we have here, this is the deployment group that is currently under setting. So this is to ensure that the migration of our solution will be properly managed. So really to facilitate the large-scale implementation of our solution and to ensure that the deployment is performed and addressed in a homogeneous way, also tackling the barriers that could still remain for the deployment of the solution. In terms of impact, we are aiming and we have defined some high-level impact from our initiative. So basically, and this is one of the aspects I mentioned earlier with the system pillar, this is really to ensure and to take into account the evolving customer requirement. The rail, as any other demand, are not frozen, they are continuously living. And so we need to have the tool to ensure that we can address and implement all the customer requirements, the one from today, but the one that will come. And then obviously it will lead to improve the performance and the capacity of the railway sector, taking into account the reduction of the LCC. Overall objective that will also be implemented, this is the sustainability and the resilience of the approach. And finally, as I mentioned, the harmonization of the approach, the reinforcing of the role of the rail in the overall European transport domain, and finally the improvement of the rail supply industry are really key in our initiative, and it's what we are going to monitor in the coming years. In terms of structure of the documentation, so basically we have a holistic approach. So everything is coming from the EU rail regulation that has been set in 2021, and from what has been derived an EU rail master plan, defining basically the main objective of EU rail undertaking, and already a first, I would say, implementation subjection of our overall objective. But I would say the main and the most maybe important document if you want to start really to think how to implement this overall research program. This is really our multi-annual work program that is defining what will be the activities for the next 7 years, so until 2030, describing really what are the role of the system pillar, how do we have been building the innovation pillar, also the exploratory research, etc., and how the deployment group will be set. And from this multi-annual work program, we are deriving annual work programs where, among others, there are the call description. And for information, the annual work program 2023-2024 is already published on our website. So basically what I'm presenting today is already available, despite the fact that the call is not yet open. Okay, so we'll come to that afterwards. So our call for 2023 is only addressing exploratory research, except one call that is an anticipation of activities on FA1. So on the network management, planning and control, and mobility management in multiple environment. Okay, so the call will be open in October the 4th, and will last 4 months. So the deadline is foreseen for the 7th of February 2024. There is 6 topics for exploratory research, 1 topic of anticipated activity, covering quite a large level of TRL, so really from extremely low TRL with PhD topics from 1 to 2, up to innovative actions, so TRL 6. Okay. There's also 2 CSA that are not then binding back any TRL because it's a supporting action. The overall budget is 16 million euros for the exploratory research plus 5 million for this anticipated call. And we are aiming to fund, and this is maybe a difference with what Monica presented earlier today, only 1 topic per proposal. So basically we are really awarding only 1 topic, providing obviously that this proposal have reached the minimum threshold and is evaluated positively by our selection committee. Okay, so in terms of evaluation proposal, we are strictly following the rules of Horizon Europe, so the one that have been partially presented by Monica, so the consortium, at least 3 members of 3 different countries of the European Commission, etc. So I don't come into the details. And here on this slide, you will have the link on the work program 2023-2024, where there will be the detail of the call. As mentioned at the very beginning, and really to emphasize this point because it's extremely important, especially considering the previous format we had in Shift to Rail, where we had call for members, so that were really restricted to members, and the so-called open call that were reserved for non-members. Now we do not have at all this approach. So it's really open call, and all the calls we are published are open for members and non-members. So there is no additional condition and restriction. The only additional condition, if I may, it's not really a condition, this is as per the membership agreement that are signed by our members. So basically they are committed to put some money from their own in any topic they are answering. So this aspect is very well known by our members. So if today we have participants that are part of our members and they want to know more about this, I would say, requirement, I really recommend them to, contact the responsible of the URL interface within your organization. It's quite easy to understand, but indeed it requires a little bit of additional explanation, I would say. So we have to say really open call, So we accept. You can feel free to present a consortium without any members, with only members, with a mix of members and no members. It's really up to you to define the consortium the way you want. To go a little bit into the details of the call we are publishing today, I prepared one slide per topic, summarizing a little bit what are the expecting outcome or the scope of the research innovation activities we are aiming for that. And so I'll start with the first call, so the joint call actually that we've been preparing with César. So for people that don't know, César is also a joint undertaking, but not dealing at all with the rail sector. This is a joint undertaking for the future air traffic management system. And so the overall idea of this call, as per the title, is really to have an integrated demonstrator between the ATM and the rail network. Okay, so this is to tackle different, I would say, issues. So the fact of disruption and crisis management, for example, but also to facilitate, I would say, the exchange of real-time information between the two, and basically to enhance at the end the multimodal journey and the journey planning and the passenger experience of the traveler. Okay, and for that we're aiming indeed to benchmark the integrated rail and air traffic solution and to have a proof of concept validated at TRL 6 of a tool to ensure this integration, taking into account, as I said, the intermodal operation and the interface between the two management systems. Okay, so we are offering a budget of 5 million euros to test in a testing environment this solution. The second call that I would like to present today, this is a topic focused on noise and vibration. So starting from the initiative of Shift Rail, we have noise and vibration, and generally speaking, reducing the externalities have been really one of the topic that Europe's Rail and previously Shift Rail is really focusing on. And so today we want to give the opportunity to any expert in the sector to continue the research that have been conducted so far, okay, with various areas. So this is somehow independent, I would say, work stream that we have been merging into a single call, aiming to reach TRS 5.6, but not for all the work stream. You will see from the definition, and obviously if you're more interested into the context, you will see that not all the activities and not all the work stream aiming to reach TRL 5.6, but we have somehow provided a significant budget for that of 4 million to ensure that any consortium do have the budget to conduct all the activities. So one point that is true here, but it's true for every topic, we are requesting, so this is a mandatory requirement, that when you answer to the call, you are answering to all the work stream of the topic and not a selection of the bullet point that have been provided. So the requirement is really should address all these requirements. I prefer to highlight it already now because it's something that is very important for us, that you are really building a consortium that will focus on all these aspects. And somehow we have split the topic into two main areas, of the noise area and the vibration area. It's somehow building up for some parts on the previous results, but we are ensuring that this is not restricted to confidential information. So the information that are needed for you to answer to this call are public. And so it's not a requirement, obviously, to have been part of the previous work to answer to this call. So you have really all the material, and the call is defined in that sense for any newcomer to be in position to answer this call. The second topic of exploratory research is linked to the future metro system. So here as well, even more than the others, so a low tier rails with proof of concept that we're aiming to reach with a budget of approximately 3 million euros. And we've been defining 3 work streams for this. So the first one is really a feasibility study, okay, to see how we could improve and increase really the adaptability of metro to the fluctuation in demand. So somehow with the concept of TMS, but more implemented for the urban environment. The second one is also a proof of concept. So looking to a feasibility study to see what are the trends for the future trend control. So somehow, if I can refresh the next generation of CBTC, and somehow take into account what is existing already for mainline, but also the specificities of urban environments or with the ETO concept, etc. And finally, more at concept level. So this is really to see what could be the most promising artificial intelligence and data science implementation application for the metro operation. And one aspect I want to highlight is really for the operation of the metro and not for the maintenance activities of the metro, because the maintenance activities will be tackled in another call that I will present later. The third topic on exploratory research is linked and associated to a topic we until now have not really, I would say, covered in such a level of detail. This is the biodiversity topic. So this is a coordination and support action for an overall budget of 3 million euros. And it's building up the results of the Bison project. So project were a European project under H2020 that were not financed by Shift Rail at that time. And that had, I would say, the full objective, such identifying the RNI needs for biodiversity in a transport level, and also to provide methods and material to mitigate, I would say, the pressure on biodiversity. And so here we are proposing, a call in this area, as I said, building up on these results, but extending a little bit the research, obviously. So extending the research both in terms of scope. So we are now trying to cover both the transport and energy sector, because obviously there is a, I would say, high interaction between the two sectors in terms of impact on the biodiversity. And we are somehow aiming to have recommendation for biodiversity and climate policies for the transport and energy sector, also to provide methodology to evaluate this impact on the railway transport infrastructure, for example, with the value of the land, etc. And also different, I would say, assessment framework, and also user-friendly carbon emission calculator to estimate, I would say, the impact of the infrastructure project on the biodiversity and more in general on the environment aspect. And maybe to highlight a little bit the need of such a project. So I was just reading in the news a few weeks ago, SNCF Réseau, so basically the infrastructure manager in France, has been fined recently for €500,000 because they have not, I would say, taken into account, I would say, the nesting period when performing some vegetation cut within the network. And so biodiversity is really and will become more and more central in our governance. That's why we think that is the right moment to continue the effort that's been done in Bison and to have research into the program. The first topic will be on the disruptive assets management solution, and with very central point, including urban use cases. So it's a link action with the flagship project 3 on assets management. So we are for that aiming to have a validated solution in, I would say, lab environment. So we're not, I would say, requiring on-site testing, not operational validation of the solution. And it's quite blue sky, I would say. So we have really limited our requirement to ensure that we can receive as much as possible innovative solution in that domain. But we want to cover either assets monitoring solution and or inspection solution and remotely controlled intervention solution. So it's really up to the consortium to define the most promising solution. Impact and innovation obviously will be key in the evaluation of this proposal. The only two, I would say, restriction and requirement we're putting are the following. The first one is the definition of the use cases. We want at least 2 urban specific use cases for that. So when I talk about urban, this is for metro or tramway operation. And the second one, this is to avoid any duplication of activities with the flagship project 3. So the flagship project 3 will publish in the coming days on our website the list of use cases that have been defining. It's about 50 use cases, and we want to ensure that the consortium that will answer to this call will not propose any duplicated activities. Our fifth topic, it's on the extension of the rail network of PHEs. So in the previous call, URail has financed a proposal named Academics for Rail, where there are, if I don't say any mistake, 6 PhDs that are financed by URail in various areas. So here we have been proposing in the context areas where we think they will subject of impact. So it is where I listed here some ideas, for example, on the mechanism, on proposed mechanism, to facilitate the implementation of the innovation from research to the market. Second, areas that we think that is valuable, this is some change making for gender equality in rail, so considering women as passenger, but also women as workers, so specific training or plans that could be, I would say, proposed for human resources department. A third aspect linked basically on the output of staffer. This is on the education and training in rail. A fourth topic on the rail-enabled urban logistics, so considering city hub into freight. And finally, a study and a market analysis, so feasibility studies and market analysis on the possibility to implement fast night train operations. So I guess you're aware that there is really now a trend to reopen night train operations. Here it is really to see, okay, how can we consider as well fast train operation? So with an assessment of existing fleets, what would be the effort to really have the capability to implement and to make reality this concept. So what is important to know is here the topic we are proposing are only proposition. It's not binding to any consortium. You can always propose more other topics and more proposed topics than the one who have been placed into the call text. And I think this is the last topic here I will present. This is on the DAC fit retrofitting and retrofit capacity plan. So this is also a coordination and support action with a budget of 1.5 million euros. So this topic is very linked to the flagship project 5 and also the recently signed project named DACOR. And basically the idea and concept of this coordination and support action, this is to ensure the proper migration of the DAX, of the digital autocoupler, because more than the technical solution, but somehow it's its own challenge, obviously, but we are currently on a phase to address them. Now the real and the difficulties point will be really the deployment of this solution and considering the migration aspect of this solution. So for that, we are 2 areas we would like a consortium to propose, I would say, a proposal. So this is really to create a plan for the full-scale European DAC upgrading and retrofitting of what is currently existing, so for the freight loco, but also the wagons. And secondly, and this is obviously linked to that, the identification and assessment of the capacity to perform this retrofitting and to implement the proposed implementation plan. So just a bit in a nutshell, the topics that are currently and detailed into our annual work program 2023 and 2024 that is published, okay? But as mentioned earlier, the call is not yet open. It will be only on the 4th of October. And so linked to this opening of the call, we have planned to launch the same day an info day. So with the same approach than Mariana, it will be an online event where there will be some 3 main sections, so call to big presentation, a little bit more in detail than what I presented today. Then additional information on the Horizon Europe legal and financial guidelines. So I think it will also answer some of the points that have been raised previously into the chat as question. So for the conditions and also guidance in terms of financial aspect, it's important for you to know that all the projects of Europe's Rail are financed under the lump sum concept. So if you are not familiar with this concept of lump sum, so somehow it's right, it would be good that you are participating to that. And there'll be a third section linked to the matchmaking session. So we are somehow addressing the issue of having online event to have some breakout sessions, so you can register and pre-register to some matchmaking sessions. So there will be 1 to 7 matchmaking sessions, one per topic, where really you have the possibility to present yourself, to present your organization, and how you could, I would say, participate, and what would be the expertise you could propose to any consortium that would be interested to participate to building a proposal. Okay, so here the link to participate to this info day. And if you have any specific question about the call, and to avoid any, I would say, issue that you could have, so somehow competitive advantage to have an answer day to you on the technical aspect of the call, there is the info call at railresearch.europa.eu. So this is where we are gathering all the questions, and we publicly answer to this question to give the same level of information of everyone. But obviously, if you have any other questions that are not specifically linked to the call itself, you can always contact me by email at the address I proposed just here. So that's it for my presentation today. If there is any question, I'm very happy to answer to them.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sebastian. For sure, there are questions, and I listed all of them into the slide, but there will be a second slide. You can immediately start to answer the questions.
Yes. Okay. Let me move into the chat. Okay. Okay.
You must not go into the chat because I shared the screen. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So if I'm a party with expertise, but I do not know how to join a consortium, what do you recommend? So it's somehow linked to the question we received earlier this morning, but I will also add some additional information, I would say. So indeed, and I perfectly understand, especially for the small companies, so SMEs or research institute, universities that are somehow do not have a specific department working on all Europe's European project. So you might be a bit lost on how you could participate to a consortium. So the 2 hints and recommendation I could provide, the first one is how you could, I would say, get into touch with people that will be also interested to participate to a call. And my main recommendation, so without giving too much publicity on my info call, is indeed to participate to the info call of Europe's Rail on the 4th of October, taking into account that we'll have this matchmaking session, so that you'll be really some breakout session within a specific call topic. So really, you'll find them people that are really interesting to this topic as well. And so you could then link to any potential consortium. You will see from experience, there is always, for example, 1 or 2 partners that are clearly presenting themselves. We are aiming to answer to this call. We are aiming to be a coordinator. If you are interested to participate to us, you can contact me. So it's really an efficient tool to participate to this breakout session, to really have efficient contact to any parties interested for that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the call is not restricted for non-members, it's not restricted for members. So one of the recommendations also I'm providing is already, and not linked especially for this specific call, but for any activities in the future, but to get in touch with all members that are already participating to the flagship project, to know where they are involved in terms of topic, etc., and to already start, I would say, to see where, as an individual partner, you could contribute to the project. Here we are talking about exploratory research, but obviously there will be calls in the future for flagship project, and it's not because you are not members you cannot participate. All our members are working with affiliated entity, so for non-members, so taking on board SMEs, research institutes, universities, you can really get in touch with them already to anticipate the future call. Then the second question regarding contracting with Trafikverket, we'll continue working on the above descriptive innovation. Could you suggest any collaboration to us to work on? Is it necessary to include one of the funding partners members on the project consortia in order to raise the all in the ways of EU funding? So I'll start with the second part of the question. As I said, no, there is no obligation at all to have a funding partners into the consortia, and I want to make it extremely clear. It's absolutely not a criteria, and it's not evaluated at all to have a funding members into the proposal. So here, I want really to be extremely clear. You don't have an asset, you don't have pros to your consortium to have funding members. Okay, I want to be extremely clear. Okay, so consequently, it's not important as such for you to look absolutely for funding members into your consortia. Okay, obviously funding members have some knowledge, so you cannot, I would say it's important not to disregard them because they have expertise, etc. But there are also a lot of European companies that are not members of EU as well, that have also significant expertise. So either as infrastructure manager, railway operators, or I would say component or subsystem level. So really, you have a lot of possibility in the European network to build a consortium. And so if you are aiming to continue to work with Trafikverket, indeed, I would recommend, as I said, to directly contact them. Maybe they're already aiming to participate to one of the call. Maybe yes, maybe not. Maybe they will not answer to this call, but they're thinking to continue the collaboration into the second wave of flagship projects. So independently of the call, as I said, it's always important to monitor what are the ambition and the willingness of our members to participate or not on the future call. And then is call one intended to include also unmanned aviation, drones, etc.? No, this is not the aim of this call. Here we are really talking about the traffic management, so not the development of, I would say, unmanned aviation. Despite Cesar is itself, I would say, considering US and drones into their development for the air traffic management system. But here, as per call definition, and you will see more in details, we are more tackling the passenger aspect, so the multimodality of the passenger journey. So in that case, the unmanned aviation is, at least for the time being, irrelevant for this aspect. And FRMCS ability to support. Sorry, there's a second part of the question.
Next questions, yes.
For the FRMCS, so the FRMCS aspect, so I haven't read totally the question, but the FRMCS aspect is not covered here in the call of proposal. Is there any call with final TRLs above 6 are not? It's not the case for the exploratory research for so-called 2023. It's not the case. However, as indicated in the call text, we do not prevent proposal to propose, I would say, a position that is going above TRL 6. Okay, so we have a minimum requirement, but we do not prevent submission of proposal above TRL6. But to demonstrate, yeah. Here maybe we have a small, I would say, wording, I would say, definition. So I will try to rephrase. So I see that the person that raised this point is somehow linking demonstration to TRL6 to 7. In our wording, demonstration, so it's in some part, so validation. So yeah, I see the point. So if I rephrase more validation indeed into I would say a laboratory environment that we are aiming to reach. So it's a good point. Maybe we'll clarify it into our Q&A to ensure that no one has a wrong understanding about the wording demonstrate. That somehow I understand the point could be linked to higher TRL. That is not the case for this call. And finally, will there be calls for green vehicle technology development in 2024? It's a little bit anticipated for me to answer to this question because the amended version of the annual work program is foreseen by the end of the year. So at this stage, I cannot, I would say, publicly and formally answer to that. So my suggestion for the last question is really to monitor the, I would say, the revised version of the annual work program, where there will be additional call that will be foreseen for 2024, but too early for me to communicate on this aspect.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you very much. I have not to forget to mention that I kindly ask you, Sébastien, to check the link on the working program 2023 or 2024 in your presentations. It seems to be not active for the moment. Please check it because
Okay, no problem.
I already put it in the chat. I see no other question for the moment in the chat, and therefore I would propose to continue with our next presentation. And for sure, you have still the opportunity to raise your questions for the presentation of Sébastien, as well as for the presentation of Marina. And now I give the floor to my colleague Wolfgang, and he is representing the ITS sector in our company, as well as being a part of the Enterprise Europe network. And he is going to introduce EU funding instrument Digital Europe, and for sure he will also say something about the construct of the Enterprise Europe network as well. Wolfgang, it's your turn.
Thanks very much, Lutz, for the kind introduction. And yes, I will also give some short remarks on the Enterprise Europe network after my short speech. In fact, I will be quite brief and quite short, basically for two reasons. First reason, knowing that you already have heard some and received lots of information in the previous two presentations, I thought it might make sense not to go too much into detail with the Digital Europe program. Because attention might be a bit going down after such a high amount of input. And the second reason is also this one, that the funding instrument of Digital Europe, I mean, it's not a program which is specifically dedicated to the rail sector's industry. It's a program which is sector open and which has as a main focal point the digitalization of companies, of the society, of the economy as such. There are some calls, and we will go into detail on that in a few minutes, which might be relevant for the program. But we will come to that in a minute. And Lutz, you already shared your screen. Thanks very much. That's very kind of you. To give you really a short overview on this Digital Europe program, it covers 5 crucial areas as they are listed in here, and you can read them. It's supercomputing, it's AI, artificial intelligence, it's cybersecurity, it's advanced digital skills, and last but not least, ensuring the wide use of digital technologies across the economy and society. So you see quite broad, and as such, the program complements and is constructed as a complement to the Horizon Europe program, which Marina has already informed, and also as a complement to all the other public-private partnerships that we do have in the European Union. And we have heard from Sebastian about the Europe Rail partnership, but of course there are also other partnerships, including, for instance, also a partnership on high-performance computing. So the structure of the Digital Europe program is similar to the other programs, so to Horizon Europe and to Europe's Rail. So we do have a work program, and I would like Lutz to open the next site as well, where we can find an overview on the work programs. Exactly. So thanks very much. So that's the particular website of the Digital Europe program. And when you put the link into the chat, Lutz, everybody will have the possibility to read through and also to go into detail. There are some much more detailed information that I will give right now. And then if you click on the link above, on the first one, we will go to the work programs, and maybe Lutz, you can do it right now. That's perfect. And you see here the list of all the work programs. And now if you open the first one, Lutz, the one which is for our current period, that's brilliant. And what I would like you to do, if you could shortly go in that working program to page number 17, please. Exactly. Thanks very much. That's where we are. That's where the here we do have the contents of all this work program. And I would just give you an overview so that you know what are the topics that this Digital Europe program is covering in the current period. So we on the one hand side, under number 1, we do have the overall topic of high performance computing, which is covered by the program. Then as number 2, cloud, data and AI with the different subsections, as you can read through. We do have a section on cybersecurity, chapter 3. We do have the advanced digital skills, and also there you will see in the summary of the contents that there are different, let's say, subsections, specialized education programs, for instance, or reinforcing skills in semiconductors, for instance. As chapter number 5, and we move to the next page in there, chapter number 5 is accelerating the best use of technologies, for instance, blockchain, but also then deployment of public services, European digital identities, trust ecosystems, or also e-procurement and e-invoicing, for instance. So you also see there, this program, as I said in the beginning, is not focusing on one particular industry sector, but it's really cross-sectoral in that sense. If we continue, we go to chapter number 6. There we do have the so-called program support actions, which are actions focusing on dissemination, exploitation, network of national contact points for the Digital Europe program, information systems for the Digital Services Act and Digital Markets Act, etc. pp. Then there's also chapter number 7, which is quite impressive, financial instruments, investment platform for strategic digital technologies, also interesting to read there. And then chapter number 8, and that's also an interesting point where we come, where we will see it a bit later when we go to the funding tender portal. Digital Europe offers grants, and this is what we know from also from Horizon Europe, where you build the consortia. And you apply, and then the proposals are selected. But also the Digital Europe program also offers procurement opportunities. So individual tenders, which can also be interesting for certain companies to apply for. So that's the work program, as said, and also mentioned by the other two speakers. It always makes sense to have a look at the work program, because there you find the detailed information and you know, let's say, the background of the different calls that are interesting for you. So now if we move to the next side, and Lutz, if you can click on the next how to say the next slide, please? Yeah, exactly. That's this one. That's the funding tender portal. The portal where you find all the information on all Horizon Europe projects, not projects, programs, and also here the Digital Europe program is being integrated. What we did was to filter all the calls from the Digital Europe program, and you can see it's currently 90 options which are open, but most of them are already closed. If you have a look at the left-hand side, you see 71 are already closed. Open for submission are currently 19 calls. And these are only now the grants and the tenders which are activated, but for the time being there are no tenders which are open. So the 19 opportunities which are open, these are all grants. I'm just going through them just to give you an overview. So you see here network of safer internet centers, for instance, as the first one. The second one, EU energy saving references framework. Next one, coordination between the cybersecurity, civilian and defense spheres. So you see already here, it might not always be applicable, sorry for that, for the rail systems industry. So from that perspective, the Digital Europe program is like a kind of side program, which is of interest to you. I have chosen two particular calls, which, at least from my perspective, could be interesting for the rail systems technology sector. And if you open the next link, Lutz, we will go to the first one. And that's this one exactly. I'm going to go there as well. So that's the coordination of AI sectorial testing and experimentation facilities. Right? Yeah, that's it. That's it. So there you see, we do have a call. As I said, coordination of AI sectorial testing and experimentation facilities. And now when we go into, I would like to use the opportunity to give you an overview at the same time on how this funding portal is organized. So where you have to look and have to jump into when you want to look for for your information. So we can see here on the side that the deadline for the call is the 22nd of November. So we still have some months to go. It already was opened on the 11th of May. So we can already know, or we can imagine, that quite a lot of consortia have already started working on that, have already started preparing their first, let's say, ideas. We can see here that quite a lot of topic updates have been given. Not that many. If I realize now, I'm clicking on the website right now, but we see the topic descriptions. So in every call on the funding tender portal, you see the topic description, which then gives you the overview on what the particular call is about, what is expected, and what should also be reached at the end of the proposal or of the project. So that's important to read through. And as I said, because of time reasons, we're not going to go too much into detail on these particular two calls. I would advise you, if you're interested in them, to have a deeper look later and take your time to read through. So the topic description, that's important. We see the objective, we see the scope. So the scope is also the content, which gives information on what the different proposals should address. If there are certain conditions, these are mentioned as well. And if you scroll down, Lutz, as well, you see also partner search announcements. And this leads me to what both Marina and Sebastian have already said. And the question has already been asked several times. So what to do if you're looking for a particular consortia? And we do have, of course, the different options that were mentioned. We do have the info days. We do have the different matchmaking opportunities. But also you can also use the funding tender portal and have a look at the particular call that you're addressing and that you're interested in, to have a look and see if there are already some search announcements by organizations, by companies, by research organizations who are interested in working. And this might also be a first point of entry. It's true that this, of course, is not as, how would I say, not as direct as, for instance, in an info day where you meet personally, but it can be a tool or a way of getting of getting at least a first new contact. And then the submission is done online, as we know from Horizon Europe and also the Europe Rail partnership proposals. So that would be the first call that I would highlight in this short section. And the second one, and if you go now to the next link that I gave to you, Lutz, that's the call on supporting competitiveness and innovation potential of SMEs. So here, why did I choose this one? Here we also see it's still open. The deadline is the 7th of November. It's a single stage call, which means we only have this deadline on the 7th of November and no second step. And interesting in here is it's a call which is on the one hand side being orchestrated by the joint undertaking on high performance computing. So a similar partnership like the Europe Rail partnership, maybe some minor differences with regard to the legal setting, as it's a joint undertaking, but we don't go into detail on that. But that's a partnership which is focusing on high performance computing. So they are basically the, let's say, the idea givers of this call. So it would of course also make sense, if someone is interested in participating in that call, to get in touch with this with the colleagues from the joint undertaking to learn more, and also to learn more about the background as well. And why I mentioned this call is also for the reason that under scope, if we have a closer look in here, we see here that the proposal or the call is looking for a partnership which supports companies, in particular SMEs, to improve basically their innovation potential and competitiveness with the uptake of advanced high-performance computing services. And there's one sentence which is interesting in the scope, and I'm reading it loud now. That's the sentence which says, a mechanism involving financial support to third parties through open calls will adequately stimulate such innovation potential of SMEs participating in this action. So this basically means that in that particular call, the consortium is asked to, let's say, to define also some certain subcalls, which are informally known as third-party calls, and then by these, let's say, small-scale calls, also providing financial support to SMEs. So this is also an interesting aspect that we do have not only in the Digital Europe program, but also in the Horizon Europe program. We do have some of these third-party calls where consortia are asked to, as I said, to define subcalls and then provide smaller sums for companies who then develop certain solutions which the consortium is asking for. And this call now that I just opened seems to be a similar one. So either you're interested in joining in the consortium working in this particular field, or you might also be interested in joining in at a later stage. So once the proposal has been selected and the program is running, then it would be definitely interesting to have a closer look and see what are the subcalls which are then being defined by the individual consortium. So these are the this is the second call, and I'm having a look at the time right now. We still have 15 minutes to go. So I maybe wouldn't go too much into detail here neither. Let me just see. Here we see only 4 partners who are looking for, only 4 organizations who are looking for partners. So not that many, but still might be interesting to have a closer look at. And then the last link that maybe Lutz you could open, and this leads me then now to my promotional session, if I may say so. That's a short link on the EEN, on the Enterprise Europe Network. As Lutz was saying in my introduction, I'm working at Berlin Partner, but at the same time, I'm the responsible project manager in our team on transport, mobility and logistics for the Enterprise Europe Network. So just 1 or 2 sentences on the EEN. What is the Enterprise Europe Network? So that's a network which has been set up by the European Commission. It's a network of different organizations like business promotion agencies like ours, like Berlin Partner, but also chambers of commerce and industry are partners of in that network. Universities can also be partners. We do also have some public banks as partners in the network. All in all, it's a network which covers, of course, Europe, but not only. There's also partners in other countries outside of Europe. And all these partners in the network have the aim of supporting, in the first instance, SMEs in, let's say, in getting access to European funding and European projects. So, and also here, this leads me to some of the questions that have been asked by some of the participants. When it comes to finding partners or getting access to consortia which are being formed, it might also make sense to have a look and get in touch with your individual regional EEN advisor contact point. And you see that if you have a look at the website, you can look for your local contact point. I think it's under the session of About Us, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, it's their find your local contact point. So you can browse through the countries and find the regional partner who is being located in your city or in your region and contact them. And they have as I said, they have the aim and the function of making life within Horizon Europe as easy as possible, if I may say so, next to, of course, the national contact points and all the other structures that we know. And the second pillar of support is then also the international partner search, where we find also try to support companies in finding international partners. So on the one hand side, there's this partnering opportunities database, which Lutz has just shared. So that's a general partners opportunity database where partnering requests can be integrated. So this can be purely also, let's say, traditional B2B partner search if you're looking for, I don't know, for distributors or for suppliers of certain materials. But it can also be used as a partner search for funding partners. Of course, most of the time we are under time pressure when it comes to finding partners for funding programs, but this database can be used as well next to the other options that we have mentioned, have been mentioned by Marina and by Sébastien. So the info days, the particular matchmaking events, which are then also focused, of course, besides the partner search, which is available via the funding tender portal. So my advice would also be to have a look in there. And as I said, all the participants here come from different regions in Europe. So have a look at your local contact point and get in touch with them. And of course, if you're also interested in either in the 2 calls that we shortly addressed of the Digital Europe program, or if you want to learn more about the Digital Europe program and want to discuss it with your local expert, also there you can, of course, get in touch with your local and regional EEN contact point. So that would be, let's say, my short presentation in brief. We decided to just show the websites, but of course you now have the links. We can also give you some put them into a PowerPoint presentation if needed afterwards, when you are sending out all the information about the seminar. So this is it in short from my side. If there are questions, then please feel free to ask them. And if not, we maybe have some time for the last remarks to sum up the seminar from Lutz. So
Yeah,
thanks very
thank you,
much.
Wolfgang. Thank you very much. And there is one hand raise already. Please open your mic and ask your question directly. No, he or she thought about it and wanted not to raise the question, I guess. But please don't be shy to raise your questions now directly, because I didn't count any questions in the chat for the moment. So there was another question regarding the Europe's Rail presentation in the chat, but it is already answered by Sebastian. So I would not mention it once more. Maybe it would be interesting, Wolfgang, if you raise your contact data into the chat. And I guess that there would be some questions afterward, so that all have the possibility to contact you directly with the EEN related questions and with questions related to the Digital Europe program.
That's perfectly fine. I just wrote my email address in the chat, Lutz. So if of course there are questions which come up later, and I think we all know that both Horizon Europe, Digital Europe, I mean all European projects, they are really complex and not easy to how to say, not easy to digest, if I may say so. So most of the questions will also probably pop up later. So I think all of us, we will be available at your service whenever you feel like.
Yeah, and for sure the most popular question is if the presentations are available afterwards. And I think I can speak to on behalf of all the presenters, and Marina is saying yes, and I guess Sebastian will also say yes. And from our presentation here on Digital Europe, we will have the chance to produce some initial slides during the next few days, because we have also the same topic on at one of our webinars of the Enterprise Europe Network for our regional Berlin-Brandenburg audience, which is quite running now on several EU funding opportunities, and the topic of next Thursday is Digital Europe, and therefore we can use this presentation and add these links Wolfgang presented at the presentation. Yeah, is there some additional question? You can simply raise your hand and ask the question. Seems not to be the case for the moment. You have still 5 minutes time to think over, and I will take the opportunity to say something about the next steps or the next possibilities to get some input from the STARS project. This was the STARS tutorial about the EU funding opportunities. And then we will put all that recordings, it takes maybe 2 or 3 days, to our STARS project YouTube channel. And for sure, we will provide also the link to this YouTube channel into the chat. and then you are able to review all the STARS tutorials and also combine ERCI STARS webinars on certain topics related to advanced technologies in the chat, in this channel. And believe me, there are very interesting tutorials on certain technologies. You should not miss them. For sure, you can also make a short photo of these very small QR code, which are visible here in the presentation, and then you can directly to this STARS Project YouTube channel. So we are not ready with the European Week of Advanced Technologies for railway applications. There are some further events which will take place during this week, beside of the possibility of virtual business meetings. And I already received some new profiles for the STARS Hack and Match events meeting platform, and take the opportunity to meet interesting people within this platform. Then we will have 3 more tutorials during the STARS project. All will take place in September because the STARS project will end by the end of September. On Wednesday, we will have the STARS tutorial on smart sensors and communication technologies for railway applications. It is organized by one of the Berlin-Brandenburg institutes, and would be very interesting. We have lots of registrations already, but you can still register to this tutorial by following the registration link, and I'm sure that Guido will assist me to put all these links into the chat. And it will take place. The times are always Central European summertime. If you receive an email from me, for sure I will also mention the British Standard Time as well as the time zone in Turkey. And another tutorial is on the technological innovation analysis. In total, there are 4 tutorials, and this is part 3 of 4. And this technological innovation analysis has been done by the STARS project partner Relanium, and it's on 2 topics. The one is assets for automated, autonomous, and remotely piloted operations, and the second topic is network management and planning and control, and will take place on Thursday, 14th September, and registration for sure is still possible. And there will be another tutorial, and this has a disadvantage that the date has to be fixed. It's not finalized for the moment, and as soon as the date will be fixed, the registration link will follow. And for sure, we keep you informed also on this opportunity. That is the last part of the technological innovation analysis on these 2 topics: regional rail services, innovative railway services to revitalize capillary lines, and the topic of railway multimodal and intermodal transport. So I took the last chance through the chat, but I have a hand raised from Wolfgang. Please.
I have to turn on my microphone. Yeah, I just found in our mailbox one interesting link that our dearest Marina has provided to us, and I want to share it here in the chat as well. So that's a link on the upcoming events from the European Commission, which are running and which might also be then useful for both for your partner search and for finding further information. So thanks very much, Marina, for sending this to us by email.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to you. And thanks for
Thank you very much,
me.
and thank you, Wolfgang, for your attendance to look into your mailbox, because I'm quite busy for the moment. Are there additional questions? We have 2 minutes left, or 1 minute left. If it is not the case, I would say thank you very much for your attendance. thank you very much for the three speakers for giving all that fruitful information. And thank you, to the audience, for being productive, for raising your questions, to making this tutorial tutorial with much life in it. And I wish you all the best and much success for applying for one grant for funding, for European funding. And for sure, we are staying by your side, whether there are some certain questions you may ask to us. And yeah, see you maybe again on Wednesday on our smart sensors tutorial. Have a nice day, have a good start to the week, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.